So hello and welcome to my next chess video. This time GreKo 13.1 plays against Fire 7, the new Fire engine. And I let them play the French defense, which the classical variation, which starts with this moves. And GreKo played here the move bishop to g5. And we have bishop b4 counterpinning, and now e5 and h6. After the bishop returns, for example, to h4, then we would have the move g5, and after g5 the bishop returns, and now the knight can go to e4 because this knight here is pinned, so this would be better for black. So that's why GreKo played the move bishop to e2 and now d2, and now Fire took on c3, and we have the knight into e4, and after queen g4 attacking the g-pawn, we have the move g6, and after knight f3 we have the move c5, the thematic pawn break in the French defense, and now we have the move bishop to d3, and now the knight takes the bishop out, and king takes. Yeah, here the position is around equal. If knight takes, this is also possible. Then we would have the continuation queen a5 attacking the c-pawn, and after d takes c5 we have queen takes c3 and rook b1, and this is better for black, so that's why we have king takes d2, and now we have c4 attacking the bishop returns to e2, and this is the so-called French defense MacCutcheon variation. And yeah, here Fire played the move bishop to d7, and after h4 we have the move bishop to a4, and after h5 we have the move g5, and now the knight goes to h2, and now the queen goes to e7, maybe planning to go somewhere to a3, threaten this pawn maybe, or doing something else, just developing the queen. Now we have f4, breaking in the center, and now b5, counterplay on the queen side. Now f takes g5 and b4 immediately, and after g6 we have the move b takes c3, king takes c3, and knight c6. Now both sides are fully developed, and the threat is queen to b4 checkmate, so white prevents this, and now we have the move rook a b8 going on an open file. Now g takes f7 and king to d7. The center is closed, so the king is pretty safe here on d7, and now we have the move queen g7 and bishop takes c2. This is the cracker in this game. King takes c2 and knight takes d4, forking the king and the bishop. The king goes to d1, and now rook f8, threatening the f-pawn, which white cannot defend anymore, so the queen retreats to g4, and now we have attacking the knight and queen c5 defending, and after queen f4 defending the f-pawn, we have the move rook to b2 attacking the bishop. The bishop moves to g4, and now we have knight b3 attacking the rook. The rook in fact doesn't have any squares, so here the counter sacrifice from GreKo, bishop takes e6, and Fire didn't take this bishop, because if Fire had taken this, then we would have bishop queen, then white would win. After queen f6 check, king d7 and e6, these pawns are just too strong, so that's why Fire just went back with the king, and now we have the move knight back to f3, and after c3 we have the move rook to c1 putting pressure on the c-pawn, and now knight takes c1 and queen a5, threatening checkmate. So we have the rook sacrifice here, and after the bishop returns, because if you take the rook here, then it would be knight d3 would win the game immediately, because the threat is rook to d2 checkmate, and this is very hard to defend. We have this check here, and after a couple of checks this is all over. Knight c2 check, king here, and queen takes a3, which would lead to checkmate after the moves queen e7. Yeah, you have to give up the queen, and now bishop takes, and the queen sacrifices itself. After this, it's checkmate. So that's why the bishop returned to f5, and now rook takes f5, e6, and here white is pretty much lost. White is threatening here checkmate though, so king c7, and after rook a1, rook e1, we have the move knight d3. So now the threat is either c2 check, which is not a mate, but then we would have a discovered check by playing c1 queen, discovered check from the rook, and this would win. And also the threat is rook takes f3, and after pawn takes f3, rook to d2 checkmate. So that's why in this position GreKo 13.1 resigned the game, because it's a mate in 8 anyway. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we will see us next time. Ciao.